With it. What's that? What's that? Oh. I'm sorry? Nice. About there, yeah. Try not to squish the iPads in the process. Hi guys, we're back. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is well today. It is 10 o'clock Mountain. It is 11 o'clock Central. I can't do time zones, don't mind me. So welcome to, oh, are we frozen? Can everybody see me? We're trying to determine if technology is our friend. So if you can see us, give us a quick shout. Say hello. Did we freeze? This one, oh, hello. Can you see us? How is everybody? Technology is so not our friend. I don't understand. Yeah, somebody comment. Tell us you can see us. Yay! It looks like folks are seeing us, so we'll just maybe close that. Oh, we got some awake birds on our hands this morning. So, well, good morning to everyone. My name is still Becky, and I'm still with the education team at Teton Raptor Center. We're so glad to see you guys again on Facebook Live for some fabulous and fantastic facts about Falcons. So we are going to spend this morning chatting it up and enjoying some of the Falcons that we have here at Teton Raptor Center. We're going to meet some of our live birds and geek out with our beak out, because that's what I do. So here in Jackson Hole this morning, we have a rainy day, boo his boo, but April showers bring May flowers. And that's very true up here. So we are going to, we're going to just get to it. So a couple of reminders as folks are signing on and hopefully enjoying our day. Reminders of who we are. So Teton Raptor Center is a nonprofit organization, and we're located in Jackson Hole in the town of Wilson, Wyoming. And we all started, hold on, I have visuals again, right here. It all started right back with this guy back in the day. Roger Smith is our founder. He's been doing research in Jackson Hole since the 1990s. And Teton Raptor Center formally became Teton Raptor Center around 2008, 2009. We're located at the historic Hardeman Mosley Barns in Wilson. And the Raptor Center does three things. So we do three things, very exciting, right here for you. I'm all about the visuals, you know. And aren't you proud of us that this time the visuals are oriented the right direction? That's some great leadership right there. Be proud. Okay, so we do three things at the Raptor Center. We do research, we study the wild birds, and then in the event that they get ill or injured, we take them in, fix them up, and get them out. So we're a rehabilitation clinic. We're a bird hospital of sorts for raptors. And then in the event that a bird is not releasable back into the wild, we're also an education program. So research, rehabilitation, and education are our three pillars. And today we're going to focus on one very special kind of raptor, and that is falcons. So falcons are a really cool and unique category of birds. There are more than 60 types of falcons all over the planet. And here in North America, there are 6 types of falcons found. 8 sort of every now and then. There's 2 from down in South America that'll sort of show their face every now and then. But there are 6 types of falcons pretty regularly found in North America. So we're going to talk about those falcons today. I want to talk to you a little bit about their size and what makes them so cool. So first things first, falcons are in the raptor category. Now, what makes a bird a raptor? Boy, that question gets harder every day. As we learn more about DNA and who's related to who genetically, that question becomes harder and harder to answer. But I can tell you that that we at the Raptor Center, you know, we know that raptors, they eat meat and only meat. So again, the good news, if you saw when we talked about owls, is that they never have to eat fruits and vegetables. They never have to clean their plate before they can leave the table. But the downside to that is that they also don't get dessert. So that's why I could never, ever be a falcon. But raptors, they like to eat meat. Most raptors go after food with their feet, though, of course, new genetics, new science learning every day. We're starting to lump vultures and condors into that category. So they may not necessarily go after the meat with their feet, though here at Teton Raptor Center, we often say meat, feet, and beak. We say that they eat meat. They generally have very powerful feet, and that they tear apart their food with their beak. So if you can remember meat, beak, and feet, you're well on your way to identifying what makes a bird a raptor. Now, falcons are in their own very cool category. And these guys here, this is Frost and Beatrix. And Frost is the little guy closer to you. Beatrix is his friend here next to him. And as you look at them on the back, you can see that these two are similar, but not identical. Frost has got beautiful blue on his wings. Beatrix has got some stripes on her wings. And their tails are different. She has a striped tail. He has got, sorry guys, the camera is backwards to me today so that it's forward for you. So pardon while my brain struggles with that. Frost has a solid colored tail. Beatrix has a striped tail. And then if you look at them on their chest, you can see that Frost has a spotted chest and Beatrix has a striped chest. So that is the difference between boys and girls when it comes to the American kestrel. American kestrels are the smallest falcon in North America, but they are not the smallest falcon on Earth. And as a matter of fact, I did a little bit of homework to study up. I was really curious about some of the smallest falcon species. And so I wanted to show you really quick. I have a couple of, because you know I love my visual aids here. I have a couple of pictures for you. One is of a couple of little tiny birds. They look very similar. And they're called, I'm trying to get where I can see here. Here we go. They're called falconets. So one of them is the black-thighed falconet. One is the white-fronted falconet. And these guys are tiny. These guys are about the size of a sparrow, the little falconets. One is found in Borneo. The other is found in Thailand. And just to give you a little perspective of how light those guys are, They weigh, I don't know how to get the camera, there we go. Those guys weigh as much as $1.50. So if you can get $1.50 in quarters and feel that in your hand, that is how light a falconet weighs. And then a true falcon, the smallest true falcon on the continent of Africa, is a very cool little bird called the African pygmy falcon. And those guys there's a picture of an African pygmy falcon. So for a little comparison, the falconets weigh in at about 35 grams apiece. The African pygmy falcon weighs about 60 grams. These two weigh in at about 110 grams on average. So Frost is a little smaller. He weighs more like 105. Beatrix is slightly larger. Today she weighed about 120 grams. So they do hold true to the fact that the females, the girls, do tend to be larger than the boys, which is really, really cool. And my most favorite raptor fact is that the girls tend to be larger because that makes them stronger and more powerful and just better. Who said that? Anyway, so it's really, really cool to know that these are the smallest in North America, but they do come much smaller than that. So going through the falcons, let's talk a little bit about what makes them falcons. What makes a falcon different from a hawk or an eagle or something like that? And they have some really cool traits. So in North America, falcons have this really cool stripe on their face, and that is called their malar stripe or their mustache stripe. Frost and Beatrix are showing that off for you. And that malar stripe, it's the same idea as why baseball players or football players, they put that black under their eyes before they play a game. And it's all about blocking glare. So these guys are a diurnal hunter. They're out during the daytime. They're trying to block that glare so that they can really see their prey as they go hunting. So that's one really cool clue about whether or not a bird is a falcon, is if you see that really cool malar or mustache stripe on the face. And in some falcons, it can be quite faded, especially as you go north. But rest assured, these guys have a really cool malar stripe in North America. Another thing that makes them unique, if you will, is they have this really cool notch on their beak. And so if you look at the falcon versus the eagle, you can see at the end of their beaks, they have this really awesome notch. And that notch is called a tomial tooth. Now, it's called a tomial tooth, and that's kind of, it's not a tooth. So that word is a little bit weird and confusing, but it's not a tooth at all. It's a notch right at the end of their beak. And that notch serves a super disgusting purpose. It does. So that notch is there because falcons, on the whole, they're capable of grabbing their food off the ground or off of a tree or branch or something, but their specialty is that they are aerial hunters. So these guys are able to ninja, move through the air, and they can actually grab their prey mid-air. That's what makes a falcon really cool and unique. Now, some falcons, like the peregrine falcon, they're really good at diving very quickly. We'll certainly get into that. And so really, really, really cool is that falcons have really high agility in the air. They can just move through the air so quickly. So they've got the malar stripe to block the glare as they're trying to hunt, and they have that tomial notch so that if they grab their prey mid-air, okay, let's think this through. Let's say it's a little kestrel like this. Now, what in the world could they possibly go after? These guys are little tiny dudes. What could they possibly hunt that's in the air? Well, kestrels have been known, most falcons in fact, go after the 3 Bs. They go after bugs, they go after other birds, and they might even go after a bat. All those things are flying around in the air, all 3 categories. So these 3 might go for that. So let's say one of these guys is diving and they grab a grasshopper. They catch a grasshopper as it's flying as it's jumping through the air. They grab a grasshopper with their feet. Well, if that grasshopper's wiggling around, they don't want to lose it. So they grab the grasshopper and then, this is disgusting, they reach down with their tomial notch and they rip its head off. Go team. Good job, guys. Hey, they're predators. It's what they do. They've got to be able to dispatch their prey very quickly. Otherwise, the food might get away or they might get hurt. So they're built to be able to take their food very, very quickly. So falcons have that really cool tomial notch. They have a malar stripe. They have very long, Beatrix can show you more than Frost. They have very long pointed wings and a long tail to give them very high agility in the air. I think I have a picture somewhere. Yeah. I can show you some falcons in flight, some of the really cool wing shapes. They have very long, very pointy wings, and those are there in place to be able to have really high agility for that aerial hunting. Aerial hunting is very cool with falcons. And then another really cool trait that your true falcons have, and it's very hard to show you on these guys, so I'm gonna show you on a zoom in if I can find my camera here. Here we go, there we go. Falcons have, look inside of that nostril on that falcon face. That thing is called a bony tubercle. It is not called a booger. I said booger on Facebook Live. You think that's allowed, Amanda, to say booger on Facebook Live? I just said it twice. Okay. So, yeah, so they have these things inside their nose, and that has to do, again, with aerial hunting and agility and speed. So that really big dive, they have that thing in their nose to allow air to flow normally so that as they're diving, they can still breathe really well. So especially some of the larger falcons that reach those incredible speeds, we don't want their brains getting all sloshed around. We don't want them to blow their sinuses out. So that bony tubercle is really, really important. And they have that. That is there again, all about the diving. So a falcon can be completely healthy in every other way, and just something's wrong with its nose could be reason enough that it wouldn't be able to go back to the wild. Everybody be nice. And so, yeah, so let's tell you a little bit about Frost and Beatrix here and why we have them. We'll start with Frost. He's the one over here on the far side with the blue. Everyone behave yourselves. Frost came to us from Texas, and he actually came to us from Michigan, but he was injured in Texas. And so, as you know, down in Texas, it doesn't snow very much. In Texas, it tends to be more icy and windy. Now, children, if we're not going to get along, you're going to go back in your kennels. So in Texas, it tends to be, they're losing their privileges. By the way, this is the sound a kestrel makes. Really high-pitched, kind of a squeak, squeak, squeak. Yeah, it's cute for the first 20 seconds, and then after that, you're thinking, oh, man. So, in Texas, here we go. Amanda, I'm going to give you, I'll give you Beatrix. How about that? You're fine. Do-do-do. Here, you take Beatrix. You take the mouth of the South. Got her? Cool. And we'll show you Frost, because he's being more well-mannered. So in Frost's case, he was in Texas, and an ice storm came along, and Frost got wet during the storm. And unfortunately, when he got wet, he tried to land. It was harder for him to fly, so he tried to land. And you know the closest place to land? Unfortunately, the closest place to land was a metal pipe. So you can imagine, wet, metal pipe, snowstorm, so the temps are below freezing. What happened? He got stuck. And someone heard him squealing, just like Beatrix was just chittering. Someone heard him, stuck to this pipe, help, help, help. And he's very fortunate that some humans heard him. They helped get him off of the pipe. But the subsequent frostbite from him getting stuck to that pipe resulted in the loss of the tip of his left wing. He still has his wrist, but if you think about a bird x-ray, they sort of have these three fingers, and Frost is sort of amputated like just at the end of those fingers. So that means he's missing those long flying feathers on his left side. So unfortunately, he's not a very strong flyer. He can sort of glide to the ground. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is on his left foot here, where his foot was stuck, he ended up losing essentially 2 talons. He just has one very short talon and one missing. And of course, that's how he's trying to grab his food. So that's also going to play into his ability to hunt. So for Frost, not very good flying, not very good hunting. And so that's why he now lives at Teton Raptor Center as a teaching bird. That's why he lives with us. And he's been with us for several years. He's been with us since 2015, which is quite a while. We have no idea how old Frost is. We know he was an adult when he came to us, and he'd been in captivity for about 2 years at that point. So as best we can tell, Frost is at least 7 years old, and he could be closer to 10. In the wild, an American kestrel in the wild making it to 10 or 12 would certainly be unusual, but not unheard of. And in captivity, hopefully he can make it to much closer to 20. So for all we know, he's 15. But we're certainly hopeful that Frost has some really great years left and here with Teton Raptor Center. So the other bird that you saw, I'm going to pass him off to you, Amanda. Thank you so much. The other bird that you saw was Beatrix. Now, Beatrix is here. She's kind of with us under sort of unusual circumstances. Beatrix is actually held under our founder, Roger Smith, under his falconry permit. So Beatrix was brought in from the wild by a local falconer. Hello, Leslie, if you're watching. By a local falconer, and she was trained to hunt. So she was trained to go after grasshoppers and voles and all kinds of good stuff. And unfortunately, when she was 4 or 5 years old, Leslie was getting very busy with her work, and the decision had to be made. Is this bird suitable for release back into the wild? And several things played into it. One is that Beatrix, and I have her picture here because she was being mouthy, so it's fun to listen to for a minute anyway. Beatrix here, she had never migrated. She hatched probably here in Jackson. These guys normally migrate down to the southern regions. They may go as close as Idaho Falls, or they may head south toward Texas and the northern reaches of Mexico for the winter from Jackson Hole. And she'd never migrated, so that was one problem. Another was that she's really habituated to humans. All that chatter was all about her really wanting to say, hey, can I land on your head? Who's got some food? What are we doing today, guys? She's really highly habituated to humans. Unlike Frost, who's a little more reserved because he was in the wild for several years. So he's a little bit more reserved in his temperament. She, on the other hand, is just ready to go all the time. And so she's really used to humans. She might have become a nuisance bird had she been released. She'd never migrated. And then lastly, she has a little bit of a shoulder issue when she tries to fly long term. Now, one of the coolest things about the kestrel, about these little guys, is that unlike the peregrine falcon that can dive so fast, these guys hover in place. They can get over a field and they can just hover. And the reason they need to hover is because their eyes are amazing. Their eyes are so cool that these guys can actually see faster than we can see. So they see more frames per second than we do. They also see clearer than we can see. So they see about 8 times the clarity of our vision. So imagine high def television still being pixely. That's kind of their world. They have really, really acute vision to see little tiny movements down below. And then I think one of my most favorite things that kestrels are really known for is ultraviolet vision. Ultraviolet vision. These guys can actually see in the ultraviolet spectrum. And you know what emits ultraviolet light? Mouse pee. Yeah, I said it. Now I've said booger and mouse pee. Now I've said booger and mouse pee. So these guys can actually see the trails of urine glow ultraviolet light. So when a kestrel is hovering over a field, they're looking for insects, they're looking for voles, they're also looking for fresh urine trails to be able to follow the trail and grab their food at the end. It's disgusting and cool. That, my friends, is science. Okay, so moving on up, we've got the little falconets that weigh 35 grams. We've got the African pygmy falcons. They only weigh about 60 grams. Then the smallest falcon in North America is the American kestrel, who you just met. And those guys weigh in at about 110 grams. Moving on up in size, the next size up is the merlin. Merlins are larger than a kestrel, but not by much. They weigh in at about 200 grams or so, 250. They can weigh a little more than that. Again, the girls weigh more than the boys, so the numbers I'm using today are super general. But the merlin is kind of a cool one too. It migrates through this area, many areas of the U.S. It migrates and it heads north for nesting. So you're often likely to see these guys as they're moving through. And again, so going back to our quarter analogy, we're up to about $8.75 worth of quarters to weigh the same as the merlin. And then we have kind of an unusual falcon going up in size. This one weighs in at about 350 grams, 400 grams. It's called the Aplomado falcon. And they're really unusual. You certainly wouldn't see them up here in Jackson Hole where we are. You might see them in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico. They're their numbers are highly reduced, and these guys are really sensitive to the use of pesticides and things like that. So their numbers are declining, but they're a dry, kind of a deserty bird, and these guys are found coming up out of Mexico. The Aplomado falcon going up in size. Moving on up, the next one is the prairie falcon. A lot of prairie falcons are found year-round in sort of the western, kind of the Rocky Mountains and west. And then in the summertime, they sort of migrate from North Dakota down to Texas. but they don't really ever cross the Mississippi River. So the prairie falcon, one way you can tell if you're seeing a prairie falcon versus a peregrine falcon is look for those black armpits. They have really dark armpits when they fly, where a peregrine falcon might be a little bit more uniform across the board in its appearance as it flies. And I should mention that falcons, these are not soaring birds, okay? These guys are flappy, flappy, flappy. They have those long wings for agility for diving, but they're not a bird that just tends to soar for long, long time. They tend to do a lot more flapping than a hawk does. So that's one of your clues. And prairie falcons go upwards of about 700 grams. So putting that into pounds, we're nearing close to 2 pounds, pound and 3/4, 2 pounds for the prairie falcons. And again, they've got a malar stripe on the face. They've got a bony tubercle. They have long pointed wings. Everything about them is, and they have that tomial notch at the end of the beak. And these are found here in Jackson Hole. So these are a bird that we see in the summer months here in Jackson Hole. And then moving up from the prairie falcon, the next falcon that we see in North America, the next one in size, is a really, really cool one. And this is one that we're going to meet today. So let me get him out for you. Sorry, technology. Uh-oh, he's talking. It's that kind of day. It's like they knew. I said, guys, you need to behave today. So this is the next one up in size. This is Hunter, everyone. Hunter is our resident peregrine falcon. So peregrine falcons are a classic. I know. Tell him all about it. Yeah. You can actually see his nods when he does that. You can actually, he's like, I think I want to eat the camera. So peregrine falcons are really among the heaviest and largest falcons in the lower 48 states. There's one falcon larger that may drift down on occasion, but these guys are essentially the largest falcon that we'll see here in the lower 48. And Hunter here has a really cool story. Hunter is from Omaha, Nebraska. And he hatched on the Woodman Life Tower in Omaha. So that's a building. Falcons will often nest on ledges. Some of the smaller falcons will use cavities like a nest box. But these guys like to nest on ledges. So in the wild, they're going to be up on cliffs, on rock faces. And in cities, these guys will super readily nest on top of skyscrapers. And that's to everyone's advantage because this guy loves pigeons. He loves to get pigeons. And so he thinks that we're going to feed him. He's like, is it food time yet? And so these guys are really good to have around cities. Well, Hunter hatched on the Woodman Life Tower with 3 sisters. I'm sure there was a lot more noise than we've been hearing today with 3 sisters. Everything was fine in the nest until, unfortunately, he tried to fledge. And as he left the nest, it became apparent very quickly that Hunter had infections in both of his eyes. His eyes were all crusted over and dry. And it turns out all those lessons mom and dad had been teaching him, how to catch your prey, how to tear it apart, how to fly, how to take off and land, he had been missing all those lessons. And so he was taken in by a local rehabilitation center in Omaha called Fontanelle Forest Raptor Recovery Center. And Fontanelle realized very quickly, yes, he's going to recover from his eye infections, but he's got some residual behavior problems from that. He just really struggles to have confidence in what he's seeing beyond 8 or 10 feet. And keep in mind, this guy should be able to stoop or dive at over 200 miles an hour. The fastest peregrine falcon, oh, thank you for eating our visuals there, Hunter. The fastest peregrine falcon that I've ever read about was diving 242 miles per hour. And when they dive, that makes them the fastest moving animal on Earth, on the planet. So you do not have to go to other continents to see cool things. We have, as we learned last time, we have one of the tallest owls on Earth, the great gray owl right here in North America. And we have the fastest animal on planet Earth when they dive. That would be the peregrine falcon, this guy. So that's why we have Hunter. Hunter hatched the first week of May. He's getting ready to have a hatch day. We'll have to get him birthday party or hatch day party supplies here soon. And Hunter will be 4 years old when he has his hatch day coming up here in the next week or 10 days. So Hunter's almost 4. Again, as with owls, the the larger the bird, the longer the life. So the kestrel, making it to 10 or 15 is pretty exceptional. And for the falcons, usually a peregrine falcon can make it in captivity to close to 20 years old. And in the wild, again, making it to 15, 17 years old would be exceptional, but not unheard of. Hunter has genetics on his side. His father has been nesting at the Woodman Life Tower since 2010. And so his dad is in his 10th or 11th year of nesting on the Woodman Life Tower. And his grandfather, where his dad hatched, is nesting on the Capitol building in Lincoln, Nebraska. So Hunter's grandpappy is a senator. That's what we like to say. His grandpappy is in the state legislature. So really cool stuff. Because this guy hatched on a webcam on the Woodman Life Tower, we know an awful lot about him. We know a lot more than we would know about a bird like Frost. We know almost nothing about Frost other than how he got injured. But in this guy's case, you can go to the Woodman Life Tower. We have a link to their webcam on our website right now. You can go to TRC's website. Not now. Wait till we're done. But you can go to our website and you can check out his nest cam, where it's now his, I guess it would be his stepmother. His mom passed back in 2017, but there's a new female at the nest. His dad is there, and we can see what they're up to. Last time I checked, there were a couple of eggs. I don't know if they've hatched yet. Maybe that's something we need to do today. So anyway, so I do want to say in North America, there's one falcon larger than the peregrine falcon, and that's the gyrfalcon. And the gyrfalcon is an Arctic falcon, and believe it or not, this bird is likely a captive bred bird. Gyrfalcons are a really popular bird to breed in captivity because you can get all kinds of cool colors, and because they're huge. So again, going back to our quarter analogy, because quarters are my favorite monies. Going back to the quarter analogy, the falconets we talked about, those guys weigh about the same as 6 quarters. They're very, very light, 35 grams. A gyrfalcon, $66 worth of quarters. That is very heavy. These guys a gyrfalcon can weigh upwards of over 3 pounds. For a falcon, for an aerial hunter, that is a massive, massive bird. So really, really neat stuff with what falcons can do and be in the wild. And so I just wanted to show you up close one more time. One really cool thing about the falcons is the wings. So if you look here, this is an owl wing. We saw this last time, and how they have the really cool fringes and they're really wide. Owls are built for gliding and for being very stealthy, and falcons are built for speed. They're just total engines, right? And so falcons have really, really long, narrow, pointed wings. It's kind of cool to compare next to Hunter as well, because this wing is from a peregrine falcon that was immature. This is a bird that wasn't, he's like, I don't know that bird. What are you going to do? And so you can see Hunter has that beautiful slate gray color. And that happens as he matures. The other thing that happened as he matured is that really cool yellow around his nostrils and around his eyes. So the yellow where his nostril is, you can see his bony tubercle. That's exciting. You can see the little bones sticking out of his nostrils and around his eyes. And his feet, when he came to us at 9 weeks old, he was this size. Crazy. He was already this size at 9 weeks old, but his feet, his cere, and around his eyes was sky blue. He was very, very light in color. Oh, that's exciting. That's called rousing or rousting his feathers. It means he's relaxed. So just wanted to point that out. The other cool thing different between him and owls is that owls had those really cool fuzzy feet. Owls have feathered feet to help protect them when they hunt and to help them with silent flight, where falcons have scaly feet and very long toes. Again, if they're an aerial hunter, they need to have really long toes to be able to grab their food mid-air. It is so much fun to see these guys and to learn about them. So we have learned about a lot in a very short amount of time. Oh, and just because I think we should all remember, I always have to bring these guys in. Let's remember too that these are my dogs. And these guys are not falcons. They don't have malar stripes. They don't have long pointy wings. They don't have any of that stuff. So, but they're still cute nonetheless. They're still,
Becky, get back on track. Come on.
Okay, well, you saw him. Hey, guys. All right. I have to bring my dogs in every time. It's what I do. So there you go. So we've learned about the smallest of the falcons called the falconets that are related to these guys, found way over in Asia and on some islands in the Pacific. And then we've learned about the smallest falcon in North America, the kestrels, and you guys got to meet those guys today. Moving on up, we have 6 pretty common falcons in North America, and we hope that you will spend some time now that the weather is warming up. We hope that you guys will get outside, check out and look for your falcons. It's really easy to spot a falcon nest. I should point that out because when they poop down the rocks, they leave all this whitewash on the rocks. So finding falcon nests can be really, really easy to do. I should also mention, if you're feeling super duper sciencey today, technically, Hunter is not a falcon. He's a tiercel. We refer to the boy falcons as tiercels and the girls as falcons. And so if we're feeling super sciencey, but don't worry, you can also call him a falcon if you want. But we thank you for your time today. We hope that you enjoyed. Please share if you have any family or friends that weren't able to join us for the live. We hope that you'll share our website and share this Facebook Live with them. Really, Hunter's very relaxed. He's like, I'm going to preen and get pretty for everyone. We hope that you'll share it. We will also upload this video. I I almost forgot. I know, but I'll tell them. But they don't understand when you do it. I'll do it. So we're also going to upload this Facebook Live to our YouTube channel. So if you have any relatives or friends, especially those with kiddos that might be looking to get a little learn on here from home, that will be uploaded to our YouTube channel hopefully today, maybe by tomorrow, so that you can share the link and people who aren't connected on social media can still enjoy. So thank you so much for your time. Be well, everyone, and have a great week. Bye.